Well, Don, how different has this week been after a win compared to round one?
Oh, it was always pleasing to get a win. Really happy with how we played on the weekend, but we moved on pretty quickly and we're on to Richmond.
Was it the win or was it the way you got the win that was most pleasing?
Probably the way we played. I mean, I thought there were components of how we played, which is what we've been practicing, which was the pleasing part. It's good reward for the players. I mean, they came with a strong effort on the day and sustained that and got the win. So again, it's reinforcing for them how we want to play. At the end of the day, that gave us that result, which was great.
You looked at Richmond yet?
Yep.
What have you learnt from those sorts of things that you've looked at?
Oh, they're a really, really good, strong footy team. I mean, on the weekend, I think everyone would have thought they probably had the game won with a couple of minutes to go, and unfortunately for them, they let it slip. But they played some really good, strong footy, as they did the first week against Carlton. So they're a really impressive side, and again, we've got another really strong challenge coming up again this week.
Does it worry you that they're so inconsistent? One week they'll smash a premiership contender and then another week they'll be down the bottom. Is that challenging for a coach?
No. Are you talking in terms of Richmond?
Yeah.
No. We plan each week on the opposition bringing their best, and at the end of it, that's all we can plan on. And then it's our responsibility is how we turn up and how we play.
With how you play, it probably be different because they probably won't let you out like Port did, or you think you can exploit them in the same way?
We'll see how the game sort of sets up. For us, again, we want to focus on how we want to play. Obviously aware how Richmond will play, and we've got to be flexible enough and adapt. If we can move the ball with speed and get some of the movement we had last week, that's great. If that's not available, we've got to find a different way. So that's what we've been training, and that'll be one of the challenges come Saturday.
How do you feel about winning teams? Do you like to just keep the same formula, or are there people pushing from the SANFL still despite a massive win?
Well, there's certainly people pushing from the SANFL, and that's a really good position to be in. We've got, our SANFL side's won a couple of games, some really strong performers at SANFL level, so they're knocking on the door. The challenge for the guys in the side is to keep their form up, and from last week's game, obviously a lot of guys perform really strongly, which keeps them in the team. But it's important for us. We've got that depth and we've got those options and that pressure coming from underneath. So hopefully they'll continue that form.
How's Rory Laird feeling? Is he a bit groggy still
From
the hit by Jonas?
No, he's fine. He's fine.
How much of a focus is that inside 50 count going into this week, and not letting as many inside 50s to the opposition?
Yeah, look, we've spoken about that. There's some reasons behind that. I won't go into the reasons behind that, but we're aware of the need to tighten that up a little bit. It places a bit of extra pressure on our backs. Some of those repeat inside 50s were exactly that. They were balls that went out, came straight back in. So, but we're monitoring. We realise that to go and play the way we want to play, we don't want to be conceding that level inside 50s.
Is it pleasing how they absorb that, though, the back line? Given, I guess, from the outside, that would be the query on one part of your ground, is the back line. Yeah,
it was a combination. I thought our backs handled it really well. They were really strong in the contest, which is what we'd asked of them before the game, which was pleasing. And I thought our mids got back and assisted as well. So between those two, but hopefully we don't sort of have that many inside 50s to defend each week.
Have you seen Wayne Miller and McGovern, only 2 games in, but both seem to be fairly settled?
Well, they both, first game, it's always that unknown. You sort of step in and play your first game. There's the excitement around game 1. And it was pleasing in game 2, even though it was a big game, or a bigger game being a showdown. Both the boys settled and continued to play the way we know they're capable of. So they're going to be like all first-year players. They're going to have their moments where they'll show why they're in the team, and they'll have other moments where maybe they won't be as strong. They both understand it's not necessarily about possessions or goals or anything else. It's about their role for the team, and that's the pleasing part. They're coming in and just playing their role, and learning as they go, which you do as a first-year player.
Having seen 2 games of the smaller rotations, what have we learnt? Is fitness, what I'm getting at is fitness still something that can be a weapon, or have we reached the stage where all clubs are almost equally fit these days?
Oh, I think we're still, as you said, there's only 2 games in, so there's not enough, for me, there's not enough body of evidence to say how it's all going to play out. I think each team's still exploring exactly what it looks like for them from a rotation viewpoint, and then a little bit that's based on the capacity of their list. So we're at the moment juggling, each week getting feedback from the players as to how it looks, time on ground, time off ground, because the other thing which hasn't really been looked at is that, you know, previously guys are spending a short period of time off ground. Now they're spending slightly longer because you've got less rotation. So we're sort of mapping that through and working with the players, but it's too early to really tell. But clearly, 90 rotations means you've got to have a strong fitness aerobic base to be able to run the game out, and so that plays a factor in terms of probably how you select sides and how you play.
Are the clubs different though in fitness level, or are they almost identical now?
Oh, I think there's variances more in individual players and their capacity. So, you know, each list is going to be slightly different. They all be training to a similar level, but of course, just the makeup of some players. There's some people are, you know, just the way they are. They're great runners. Others, you know, it's harder for them to master that and get to a higher level.
You've been part of a couple of different regimes. What have you learned and sort of taken from those two? I'm thinking of Neil Craig and Simpson most recently.
Yeah.
Any good lessons that you managed to take with you?
Oh, lots of good lessons. You're always learning in this job, and as coaches, that's our challenge, is to keep learning as the players are. We've got to keep educating ourselves about the game and how it's changing, and some of the fundamentals of coaching and the art of teaching. So those are the things which you pick up from previous coaches and environments. Plus, you learn from situations, how to handle situations. How to manage situations and manage people through those situations, because, you know, there's right and wrong, or sometimes there's not right and wrong. It's not clear. It's just you've got to go with your gut or a feel that you have with the group or with a player. So we're all continually learning.
How do you think the box is functioning at the moment? The coach's box, I think you said before that it would take 6 weeks to get better, and that's
it's progressing along. It's progressing as I would expect. You know, it's about roles, responsibilities, clarity of message, helping the players on game day. So we continue to work on those things.
Has there been anything that surprised you as in the head chair for 2 weeks?
No, probably just the camera that's straight in front of me. That's probably surprised me. That's sitting there watching your every move. So as I said before, for me it's, and for the other coaches, it's just the clarity of our discussion. So we're really clear on what's happening on the game. So if we're in a position where we're going well, how do we sustain that advantage? If we're not, how do we get an advantage back?
I'll go one more. VB went back to the sample last week. He said he went down with sort of directives on what he needs to do down there. Did he tick the boxes for you?
Yeah, he was very good last week. Really pleased with Nathan. You know, he's the character of the guy, accepting the decision, and disappointed as he was to miss out last week. Right along the line of our team first ethos is Nathan, and he went back and played his role, did what we were asked of him, played well. Which is exactly what I would have expected from him, but it was really pleasing to see.